Greetings, unsettled souls, and welcome to The Correct Views. Sam IB of the Media Speaks. Once again back, guys, do me a favor. Thank Alex Jones. It's official. We've lost. All right, I didn't tell you to get a drink. I didn't give you any warning or anything. Passing Time's War on For Your Mind and Becoming Paul Revere, the most amazing project perhaps I've ever been a part of. And Passing Time is a band, not a project. That's not what I meant. Absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, we are not one of the finalists. I know what it's like to be a finalist. I got to do it. D-Lake got to do it. Kyle got to do it. Court got to do it. We were all in the top 20 to win the last major contest we were in. By that I mean some of the other contests that I've been in since didn't have finalists. You either did or didn't, and I didn't. But you know what Alex did today? And I thought, we lost the contest. That's fine. What bothered me a bit was that Passing Time wrote a song just for Alex. It had his catchphrases in it. It was our gift to him. Now, it does have my political view in it, and Serenity's, who's also in the band, if you saw the girl. And to some degree, and not as much, Dan Chris, DJ Aram. But it was for Alex. And I thought that, he didn't post it or anything. I mean, he posted it in the contest. But he didn't draw any special attention to it. And I felt the same way about the Becoming Paul Revere. Well, Alex Jones did, in fact, post a direct link on InfoWars under We War Unite. And Courtney Driver, you're awesome, by the way. Courtney Driver, Becoming Paul Revere, and War on For Your Mind, along with the Media Speaks Saturday edition with Anthony Court's smiling face as the thumbnail, all got posted on Alex Jones's site. So here's what I want to say. Thank you, Alex. All the money I paid to go to California, all the work I did on the scoring, everything, it was worth it. Thank you so much for posting that link. It meant a lot to all 5 of us that it helped, and I mean that. I also want to mention real quick, the low quality of the cam twice in a row. You haven't seen me for a minute because I have been busy. I wrote an article for the Media Speaks. When you don't see me posting like every other day, make sure you go to the Media Speaks because you find that I probably wrote an article instead of posting live that night. Also, the new computer now has a 64-bit operating system. Thank you to the Ink God. The Ink God, of course, who did this, which is almost finished and needs a little bit of shading work that the Ink God did. If you want him to work for you, leave a comment for me. And the new camera is in the process of having software downloaded so that now I can put all my graphics and stuff back up. But Christelle cannot be in 2 places at once, so she is currently downloading, perfectly legal of course, all the software we need in order to make that happen. And that is your show update. I know it took 3 minutes, but that answers all the questions that I've gotten in my email. Now we're going to go on to news. This is insane. Before I get into this, I'm going to say I did what George Zimmerman did. And no, I'm not saying, ooh, Sam is such a hero. I'm no hero. I'm just somebody that happened to be in the right place at the right time. For those of you that know Canton, Ohio, and for those of you that don't, you can envision it. I was coming up a street called Walnut, headed west, and this lady ran the light. Why? I have no idea, because she was perfectly sober. But she ran the light, and I swerved around her, and unfortunately didn't make it all the way around her, hit the back of the minivan, and the minivan flipped upside down. There's never a cop around when you need one, except finally something worked for yours truly, and there was a cop around. He saw the accident, so thank God and all the saints alive that I had a cop as a witness. I did not run the light in the taxi cab. It flipped upside down, and the cop broke the back window out. And the worst moment of my entire life, perhaps, minus the death of loved ones, was hearing a baby cry. He told me to stay outside. He went in, grabbed the baby. I did not stay outside. I walked the teenager out, and then there was his mother, and they walked out. They were all okay. They were all fine. The baby had no injuries whatsoever. I think one or two had a bump. Wasn't even a concussion, and some stitches were needed. She didn't try to press charges. She made a mistake. I didn't press charges. I didn't do anything to her at all. There was no grief from anybody. Oops. My point is, it's a little bit scary to go into a car that is upside down or something when you don't know if it's going to blow up. Doesn't normally happen unless you're Michael Hastings and the government wants it to. Yes, I went there. It's scary not knowing if the gas is leaking and maybe one of the occupants was a smoker. Things like that tend to go through your mind when you go into the car. Well, guess who did something like that? George Zimmerman emerged from a hiding for truck crash rescue. ABC News. Before I do this, never, ever go to ABC News. The only reason I want anybody listening to this to go to ABC News is if you think that I'm making it up. Otherwise, this site insists on bringing videos up. It's a pain in the neck to shut them off. You can't shut the ads off, and it is annoying. ABC, we don't want to see videos unless we click to. Oh, I hate when sites do that. Anyway, guys, George Zimmerman is like Batman. Nobody has seen him anywhere since he was acquitted, and I was in favor of it. No, I'm not a racist. No, I'm not going to go into it. There's a whole half-hour show that deals with it. Listen to this. George Zimmerman, who has been in a hiding in the Batcave since he was acquitted of murder in the death of Trayvon Martin, emerged, like Batman, to help rescue a family who was entrapped in an overturned vehicle, police said Tuesday. I may have added a couple words in that sentence. Zimmerman was one of two men who came to the aid. I wonder if the other one was Robin, of Dana and Mark Gerstle and their two children who were trapped inside a blue Ford Explorer SUV that had rolled over traveling off the highway in Sanford, Florida at approximately 5:45 p.m. On Thursday, the Seminole County Sheriff's Office said in a statement, I'm going to keep reading. Did you ever expect to hear this? The crash occurred at intersection I-4 at the Route of 46, police said. The crash site is less than a mile from where Zimmerman shot Martin. Wow. By the time police arrived, two people, including Zimmerman, who now we know his Batcave is within a mile of where he shot Trayvon Martin, had already helped the family get out of the overturned car. The sheriff's office said no one was reported to be injured. Zimmerman was not a witness to the crash and left after speaking with the deputy, police said. If you can deal with the annoying video, go to the site and read the rest of the article. I will say this. I'm going to say two things. First of all, as somebody who has gone into a car that they did not know if it was safe or not, it's a little scary. Okay, it's not like the movies. You think about it when you're in there. Add to that George Zimmerman has to wear a bulletproof vest because certain Americans can't deal with the fact that they might just be wrong. Or, you know what, we have a justice system here, and we have to let it work. Do I believe it was self-defense? Yes. Do I believe he was a terrible neighborhood watchman? Yes. Is he somewhat negligent, in my opinion? Yes. But he is not a murderer, and in this case, he's a hero. No mention as to whether or not the people he saved were white or black, but I guarantee they are thanking him today. And George Zimmerman, good job. Good job, dude, and I hope that you get to go on with the rest of your life. Yeah, I made a lot of Batman jokes, but it's a show. I want to say up front that I think that was a great thing to do. It was very brave for two reasons, and I just stated that. Good job, George Zimmerman. All right, guys, Steve Watson, Infowars.com. Former NSA head, Snowden is worse than every American traitor in history. What a schmuck. What an absolute idiot. I'm going to read some of this, even though it made me seething mad. If any of you support Michael Hayden for so much as a meter maid, you need your head examined. Former head of the NSA and human scum, and the CIA, General Michael Hayden, has said that he believes that Edward Snowden is worse than any American traitor ever, including Benedict Arnold for blowing the whistle on government spying. Let's play the violin for him. Yes. And Christelle is downloading the software that will make it possible for me to do that again. In an op-ed piece for CNN, Hayden, who many would agree has a deranged view of the Fourth Amendment, to say the least, compares Snowden to a host of other Americans who notoriously released secrets. Then he makes the argument that he is worse than every other one of them because he released more information. I know that we have had our share of spies. We also had our share of leakers, Hayden writes. Benedict Arnold was bent on betraying Garrison at West Point to the British during the Revolution. Klaus Fuchs and Julius and Ethel Rosenberg ferreted out nuclear secrets for the Russians. Aldrich Ames and Robert Hansen identified American penetrations for ultimate execution by the Soviets. But Snowden is in a class by himself. Maybe there wasn't so much garbage going on back then that they felt the need to blow it all out there. Maybe it's worse now than it ever was. You scum. It goes on to say, Hayden was the man who notoriously argued that there was no mention of probable cause in the Fourth Amendment, insisting that only reasonable search and seizure was required in violating the privacy of Americans. You know what that's like saying? That's like saying that, well, Jesus Christ never said that the meek will inherit the earth. What he said was that the meek will inherit the planet that we are currently living on. That is the equivalent to the stupidity that this Hayden jerk just said. He's also the man who suggested that the president should have an internet kill switch. It's a power in the case of national emergency, yet more First Amendment thrashing nonsense. Guys, look, it's this simple. Snowden is very likely an American hero, and Hayden is an American traitor. He himself should be looking up his similarities to Benedict Arnold. Mike Adams at Natural News, more government pensions to be confiscated within a decade. I'm going to tell you some things you can do ahead of time before I get into this. It'll get you around a lot of the travesties that you're about to hear unleashed. Michael Adams and I disagree a little bit, by the way, and I'm going to get into that at the end of the story. For one thing, if you have money to buy, you need to buy gold. Gold right now is selling for around $13.46. It costs $1,200 an ounce just to mine it. Catch a good deal, you can buy it for the price it costs to mine it. You don't have to buy it per ounce. You use a money order to buy it, and then you write up a sales receipt and you sell it to someone. Bottom line is, you keep your gold safe, and nobody, including the government, can ever prove that you have it. You can bury it in the ground a half mile from where you live. It's not in your house, and they can search it anywhere they want. You mean to tell me nobody listening to this can hide gold? And there's no place you can think in the whole world, planet that we live, to hide it? Come on now. Last week, Detroit declared bankruptcy, becoming the largest in U.S. history to take such drastic action, writes Mike Adams of Natural News, in the face of financial insolvency. That means no money for you Kesha fans. A definition of bankruptcy isn't what most people think it is, though. It is not a statement of we're broke. It's actually a way for the city to clear its slate of all financial obligations and not pay the retirees what it owes. And it goes on to mention that they owe $3.5 billion in pensions to cops, teachers, people of that ilk that have retired. and have now, reached their elderly years and are owed a certain amount of money. Now, Detroit overpromised that. They did. And now they owe it to these people. It also mentions that, the government's going to probably try to bail them out. But if they do, they could be stuck bailing out Philadelphia, Chicago, Boston, Cincinnati, St. Paul, Jacksonville, New York, Baltimore, and Fort Worth, because they are all facing the same insolvency, aka bankruptcy issues. It also mentions that it is 10 times as bad for unfunded health care obligations. That means that basically 74% of the cost that it will cost to take care of retirees is not paid for. Go read the article for all of the actual numbers yourself, but those are the two important parts you need to take away from this in order for me to comment on it, which is what I'm going to do. Read the specifics in the site. Mike Adams is in favor of, like Rand Paul is of saying that the government is not allowed to bail any of the Detroit's money woes out because Detroit is going bankrupt as a result of bad management and bad decision making, and I agree. Where we disagree is Mike Adams, and I don't know what Rand Paul's stance on this is, seems to think that the retirees then should simply be angry enough to become libertarians, I guess, but realize that their money is gone forever because even if they sue for it, they're not going to get it. Here is the correct view. I am not in favor of the government bailing out Detroit. I am in favor of every single person who was promised a pension getting every penny of that pension. And I mean that happens from every time Detroit gets any money. Doesn't have to be from the government. No roads, no this, no raises for current police officers or teachers, jack nothing until those pensions are paid. Detroit should not be allowed to receive money from anybody, including the federal government, until they pay them. And if the federal government does pay them, then it needs to be the pensioners who get the money first, before anybody else that gets it now. Why? Because ain't that the rules we live by? I've got student loans. I go through bankruptcy. I can't declare my student loans. So why should the leaders get a pass when your average person does it? I don't think the federal government needs to give them anything. But if Detroit wants to continue existing, they need to pay the pensioners first before they pay anybody else. And they can streamline the rest down from there. That's what you get when you have crap-ass management. That is the correct views. Guys, do me a favor. Go to themediaspeaks.com and click on the Nitro Pack, NITRO-PAC, PAK. Don't just go to the site. Go to it from the Media Speaks, because when you go to it from there, you're helping us continue what it is that we do. And guys, it is summertime. I don't know. I know that, shout out to resistthetyranny.com. I know for sure he lives in Ohio, and we've had the worst summer ever. Rain, rain, rain nonstop. Well, when it finally stops raining, or if you decide to go camping and it is in fact raining, check out some of this. This is to make sure you have the best summer that you've ever had. You want to go camping this summer? Not only will you go camping, but you will go camping in style, and it will be extremely cheap. Space all-weather blankets. So the weather said it wasn't going to rain. You go out, it's pouring down rain. $14.99. You don't want it to get wet. It will be covered. You will be dry. This is not one of those crappy ponchos. The AMK SOL Sport Utility Blanket, $18.95. That's less than $20. You will be 9 kinds of freaking warm in this thing, while Mother Nature has ruined your summer like it has for everyone else in Ohio. The tube tent, $6.95. Guys, go to the Media Speaks, click on Nitro-Pack, and enjoy. Enjoy a good summer, and if you're a prepper, by all means, you will be in heaven. You'll be eating some of the best food you've ever had. Guys, I got a blip. Is that telling me that I have a listener trying to join me? I'm not sure, but if you're trying to join me, you're not showing up. But you are welcome to do so if you can figure out. You can click on the link that's on my Facebook. And I'll hear it ring in. Mail Online. Jesse Ventura's defamation lawsuit against murdered Navy SEAL Chris Kyle can proceed after judge rules that he can sue the man's grieving widow. I wish court was here, but I'm going to do my best. Are you trying to say that I can sue a dead guy? That's my best Jesse Ventura impersonation. I see Jesse's point on this. I think this is going to hurt him in the long run. I think that there's at least a decent, if not majority chance, at least a decent chance that he might be running for president in all 50 states. I'm not even going to say it's a likelihood, but it's a possibility. And they're going to use this to paint him like an awful person. In a nutshell, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to go with this here. Again, dailymail.co.uk. They have it. Jesse Ventura has a defamation lawsuit against the American sniper Chris Kyle. Supposedly, Jesse Ventura was overheard saying derogatory things about America, the Iraq War, and Bush. What do I believe? I think that the sniper overheard Ventura talking about the war and about the Bush regime, as I'll call it, as being corrupt. And he took this to be an attack on America. I think he put it in his book. Well, he claims to have punched Jesse Ventura. And Jesse Ventura is wanting to save his reputation because he doesn't want to be known as some punk that got punched and didn't fight back. And most importantly, he doesn't want to be viewed as somebody who said things bad about America. And let it be known for the record that I do not believe that Jesse Ventura said anything bad about America. No, I do not believe that. Did he say something bad about certain American leaders? Perhaps. But no, I don't think he did. I understand why Jesse's doing this, to save his reputation, because he's not an America hater. But Jesse, you're suing a dead guy? You want me to vote for somebody that sued a dead guy? That's the way it's going to be portrayed. Jesse, I love you to death. Jesse Ventura, I'd love to see you run, but don't hang yourself. Infowars.com, Paul Joseph Watson. And yes, I would support Jesse Ventura. We disagree on religion vastly, but we agree on a lot of things. UK blocks porn are conspiracy theories next. Paul Joseph Wilson, Infowars. That's my bad. I'm doing my impersonations today. Guys, this might come as a surprise to you, but I've looked up porn before. I ain't gonna lie, everybody looks up porn. I have a wonderful sex life, and sometimes I'll look it up with her. Why? Curiosity. Is it right? Is it wrong? Guys, I'm just being honest. I could care less one way or the other. I think the best thing you can do is realize that your children are, in fact, going to look up porn. You should do what my dad did when he found, God rest his soul, porn in my bedroom. He had a very important talk with me, and he asked, what sort of things I wanted to see, and at the time, it was like 80s, early 80s, Madonna had posed nude, and I remember within a week or so, he took me into a bookstore with him and let me look at Madonna nude. I think that's the best way to handle it, because God only knows what kinds of weird things a young kid is going to find if their parents don't let them know that there are dangerous things out there. And my dad said, I'm not going to say what they are, but you'll know them when you see them, and they're not good. You know what? He was perfectly right. That is the correct way to handle it. The wrong way to handle it, incoming. The British government, and I scrolled fast, the British government has set the precedent for establishing the state's power to censor web content of its choosing by automatically blocking the online porn via mandatory web filters set to be in place by early next year. Every household in the UK is to have pornography blocked by their internet provider unless they choose to receive it, David Cameron is to announce, reports BBC News. During an interview with the BBC, Cameron focused almost exclusively on blocking obscene images of children, ignoring the fact that the move would also block illegal forms of pornography. Now, I'm not going to ask for comments on there because I was just honest with you, but most of you are not going to be honest with me. However, leave a comment if you're brave. If not, just answer this in your head. How many of you listening to this have ever looked up porn on the internet? How many of you listening to this are pieces of human garbage scum who look up children on the internet? Exactly. They want to use the filthiest of the filthy to justify taking the rights away from all the rest of the people who have never even thought about doing anything as disgusting as what was read. That's how they sneak in and get your rights. Under the new legislation, every internet user will be contacted by their service provider and asked whether they want the government filters switched on or off. Customers signing up to new broadband packages will automatically have the filters enacted by default. The filters will also be installed in new phones. And it goes on to say, and I agree, that that's going to be used as a catalyst and the ever-famous slippery slope argument to take away the rights of, first of all, it starts with limiting your porn, then eliminating your porn. Then maybe I don't like this Christian speaker because this Christian speaker talked badly about homosexuality. So I want this church to be viewed anymore. Well, not a lot of people go into an uproar because the church was in favor of shutting down the porn. Well, now the porn people are happy to see the Christian church lose their standing. Shortly after that, you're not allowed to say anything bad about the Obama administration on the internet. Nope, forbidden. Okay. Well, all the Obama supporters are happy. Porn people said, hey, it happened to me. Christians said, hey, it happened to me. And before long, the government takes away everyone's right because nobody stands up for anybody else. Last thing I want to get to, Greed Med Info. Some good news to close out the show. What better news could I possibly give you in the middle of the summer than dropping watermelon's remarkable health benefits? Only this month, research published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found watermelon juice, delicious, is an effective remedy for reducing the recovery heart rate and muscle soreness in athletes who were given 50 milliliters of watermelon juice, that is 16.9 ounces, containing 1.7 grams of the naturally occurring L-citrulline. It also has lycopene in it, which is what's excellent for you in tomatoes. Now, I like tomato sauce, last name DeGangi, Diego, but at the same time, I don't really like tomatoes. Like raw tomatoes, I'm not a fan. This has been found to have lots of lycopene for those of you that do not eat tomatoes. I'm going to go over this real quick. Boosting your antioxidant levels, easy for me to say. Watermelon is exceptionally rich in lycopene, hence its red color, and other carotenoids such as lutein and beta-carotene. A 2003 study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that regular watermelon juice consumption resulted in an increase in blood plasma concentrations of lycopene and beta-carotene. Keep in mind that lycopene has been found to have over 40 potential health benefits, and beta-carotene in this form, plentiful health benefits, adding extra significance to the finding. It reduces blood pressure. It also I'm going to read this because this is excellent news. The inability of blood vessels to dilate and function properly is known as endothelial dysfunction and is likely the most well-known initiating step in the pathogenesis of arteriosclerosis, which is the above-mentioned blood vessel problem. If watermelon can help or reverse this process, it would certainly provide a breakthrough alternative to many drugs used for it. In other words, you will not need to take as many horrible drugs with nasty side effects. You may, in fact, just get to sit back and enjoy some watermelon. What better news could you possibly get from the correct views? Sam IB reporting for the Media Speaks. Friends, please donate to the show if you can, because every penny you give me goes right back into the show. Look up the work of Kyle Court, D-Lake, and myself on themediaspeaks.com. Look up the music of Passing Time. That is my band. Search the Alexandrian Solution. Buy it if you'd like. And last but not least, look up Dana Mobley-Christ on the Charity Connection. She runs a charity, and she currently has cancer herself and needs us to help her. So let's all band together and do so. Thank you, my friends. God bless all of you. See you next time.